There's the microphone. Problem is does it change the addy? That's what you gotta know. That's what you gotta know. I start again, accidentally tapped the button when I was moving through different pages. That's what happens when you shake a lot sometimes. So that's what happened earlier when I stopped things earlier. That was like 14 minutes ago or so when I accidentally did that. So now I'm back out here. And if you had seen what I said before, I'm going Amish today. All right. Going to give you an Amish weather forecast. And as you can see, this is why. Why? Because the Yoders. Now, the Yoders down by the Sauerquists down there, they took their cows in earlier this morning. I was out there helping him with it. You know how that happens there. And we were just taking it in. Now I'm going to tell you about the weather. Now, the old tree down by the river, the branches were just bending towards the to the sunrise, to the sunrise. Now when they go towards the sunrise, the cows, they don't like that at all. So we would kind of pushed it this way, and that means there could be some spring in the air. That's what I think. I think there's I can't do that the whole time. Plus, it's an awful uh, look at what you might see for Amish folks. But look at this here. Yeah, so I made a mistake with the mustache yesterday, so I just went ahead and shaved it off and said, "What? Let's have some fun with it, right?" Yeah, so there you go. That's what you got. And you're saying to yourself, "Well, who is this guy?" Well, this is Let's Talk Lafayette. I am your meteorologist, Brian Burden, here for your forecast again today. And as you could see in some of the write-ups starting before you even clicked in, I'm asking the question or the big question: are we even into spring already? And I'm starting to think we are at this point. And that I don't see a lot of weather coming, fortunately for us, that will cool us off. How's that? Now, when I say cool us off, I'm talking about we're not talking summer, right? Cooling off. We're just talking temperatures that are going to be a little bit lower than the average, but we're going to be above average pretty much. It looks like for the entire month of March. It looks like, remember that big cold they were talking about at the beginning of March, and which never came, right? This was 2 weeks ago. And then last week, oh, that big cold coming in the middle of March. Now it doesn't look like that's going to be here either. This is the reason why I tell you to wait before you decide on forecasts and what you're going to do. Make sure you get inside 4 days, and then inside two, we're almost on the money, almost comes out on the money. And I will show you some of the details on why that is accurate and how accurate it is coming up in some of our maps as we get going on that this morning. So hopefully you are enjoying your Monday morning and you're joining in on Let's Talk Lafayette. And we've got some good news and bad news. Well, the good news was the weather, of course. Bad news was the Boilermakers got beat again last night. And it just didn't look like they were in the game as much as they could be. I'm not saying they didn't try hard. Don't give me that. I'm not saying that. You can always see effort in the guys, but it looked like Ohio State looked like they were playing for their lives, and Purdue thought they were just going to waltz home and take it with just good solid effort, and it didn't work out that way. Ohio State swarmed constantly, and I'll get into that after this. We're going to go into weather first, so that's what you came here for, right? Weather first. So let's start looking at some of these charts. I'm going to go ahead, swap out, and we're going to be able to see what's on my screen. And let me lock it up here so we can see what we're looking at. There we go. The live streaming coming in, and here's your current weather. It is a cool 28 degrees outside right now, and that's pretty close to normal for this time of the year. We're in the 20s usually in early March for our lows, and our highs get somewhere up around 40 degrees, give or take a couple degrees. And you can kind of see there where we're going to see some of the temperatures over the next 24 to 36 hours. It looks like where we see lots of 40s for our highs, and then we start to warm up as the week goes on. Remember, I told you last week 70 by Friday, right? There you go. Look at this. It's going near 80 now is what it's trying to say, but let's go with the 70 mark for Friday, and we'll see how that develops since we still have 4 or 5 days to get to that point. Uh, as of right now, though, that 28 does have a 11-mile-per-hour wind out there, so maybe you have been able to be around that outside. That means that 28 feels more like 15. How's that? because I'm sure we're seeing some gusts to like 20. So 10 to 15 is your wind chill this morning. Much better than it has been, obviously, but still a pretty chilly morning so far this morning. And look at this. Even the model says the low is supposed to be 35, yet here it is 28. That just gives you an idea of how that stuff works out. Although it shows yesterday as 28 on there, so it's kind of using the numbers here. It says the 35 would be tonight by midnight, I guess, is what you might want to call the numbers on that front. But we'll have to see as we get into some of the charts. Visibility is unrestricted. And we've got some pretty cool satellite pictures to show you this morning and some different information. I wanted to go to, let me see if I can find this here real quick. There it is. The pictures off the snow plows and where you can get these charts. And here's what I want you to look at. Look at, we were watching the system for what, a couple days last week and talking about how it was at one day it kind of had us in the snow, then it pushed it south, and then it brushed us along the edge of it, and then it pushed it south, and then kind of brushed us along the edge of it again, kind of came in there so that it was kind of where we were just on the northern edge of it. And I kept telling you that just doesn't seem like we're going to get much out of this because we're not in it, and how it can split different places and it's moving around. But it came online where it just barely brushed our county, basically, is what the model started looking like. Over time, the last couple days for the weekend and for the system that moved through last night into the morning, if you even noticed it at all, because a lot of you didn't see anything. So let's take a look at some of the cameras up north. Look at this. You go up there till the area up around Rensselaer, and you're getting up near 213 up there and 231 crossing, and it's nice and sunny. You don't see much anything. Beautiful. Traffic's zipping right along, no problems, right? Come back down to Lafayette, and we look pretty good. Here we are at the 43. There you go, 43, State Road 43 looks really nice. Road's going good. I'm your road guy today. Let's go down to Dayton. Dayton looks good, but look at this. We're starting to pick up some clouds down here. Starting to pick up. This is facing towards the south, and you can see some of the cloud cover that's in there right now. So there's there. Now let's go a little bit farther south. Here we are at Frankfort. Well, not much is happening at Frankfort either. I see clouds, though, again, right? Well, where do clouds come from? It's nice and sunny up here in Lafayette, at least most of Lafayette. And then let's go back down a little closer to like places like Lebanon, right? Look at what they got last night. So the system was south of us. It stayed south of us. And this is kind of the look that the model first gave us last week when it was still 5 days out, that we would get some light snow like this. That looks to be maybe an inch on the ground. But of course, the ground's clear pretty quick. You can see how the road is very warm. It's already wet. And I'm sure the interstate itself was pretty warm. That's why a lot of it didn't stick on there. Plus, our road crews were out there. Them guys do a great job, and they were out and about on that front. So that's what you can see the differences just in a few miles. That was the snow that fell overnight last night. And you can come as far north as, where's this one? Well, now we're getting back up to Lafayette here. So now we're back up to Frankfort. I pushed that far south already. Let's see how far north we can get. There's a little bit of light snow being showing up around State Road 47, just on the ground. That probably means some of you saw some flurries overnight, but you probably didn't see much to worry about unless you were coming in from the south. So that was a good front on that one. That system worked out pretty good. Locally, though, let's check out a couple of the cameras, too. There you go, over at the mall. It's looking pretty nice this morning. Dry roads, which makes me think that not much of anything for flurries fell at all last night. You go out to the northwest side of town. There you go. Over in West Lafayette, everything looks pretty nice over there this morning, too. So all in all, a good morning for those of us here in the Lafayette region. But we do, and as you know, I always start off with, we just looked at the cameras just to give you an idea what's going on. We definitely have to start off with our satellite picture, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the satellite picture. And this is where I'm going to get into the distinct problems, or not problems, but the cool stuff that kind of showed up as we were talking about this stuff from last week. All right, so here's a visual. This is just one solid visual shot, and Lafayette's right here. All right, you can kind of see the open pocket of sunshine to the north, lots of clouds to the south, and that's where the system was that went through last night. And I'm going to change it over to the infrared because we only got a couple pictures of the visual in so far this morning. And I'm going to go ahead and loop it so we can see it. So you can kind of see how the system crossed across us last night. If you kind of extend it back out this direction, you see what's happening, right? Everything's going almost due west to east. And a big cirrus band up to the north is what we saw most of the day yesterday, off and on. And then there's some nice opening in between where high pressure is starting to build in behind the system, bringing us a cool morning this morning at 28 degrees, while most of the rest of the state, especially down south, is much warmer. Although that band of snow is from just north of Indianapolis to just south of Indianapolis, and then it turned to rain south of that. Now, that's what it looks like, at least there. Now let's zoom in a little closer here, so we can get some more details on this. And you're starting to see the cloud cover pass off, but you can also see where the cloud bank is right here in Lafayette, just to the south. So if I go in even closer, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Bam, you can see Lafayette right here. You can see the cloud bank right there. So if you're on the north side of town, it looks like you're getting nice sunshine, everything's good. But if you're on the south side of town, there's the cloud bank right there. And it extends all the way back down towards Indianapolis. And so we're going to see a mixture of some clouds and sun today, depending on where you're at. But right now, the north side is out in the clear, and it looks pretty good, at least as we can see it here. And I'm going to change it back over to the visual. And when I do that, you'll be able to see the difference. Let's see here. Let's go back to that visual. I'm gonna go to the cloud phase one. Shows a little bit of blue on the ground. Oh, there we go. And as it comes in closer, we get to this last shot. There we go. We click on it. There's where you can see Lafayette really good there, where the clouds cut right across the county, basically right across the city. It looks like the south side is cloudy and south of that, and then of course back towards the north. And if we go in, I think I can go in even one more closer. There you go. There it is. You can see it really well there, and how the snows have actually started to push away to the south already, for those folks down to the south. But the visual shot shows you where everything's kind of pinpointed right there. And so we'll be seeing some of those clouds moving towards the south and off towards the west to east. So that's why I think we could get back into some of this cloud cover back here later on this morning into the afternoon hours. But generally speaking, at least in the morning right now, it looks like the sun is on top of us from town to the north, and from town to the south, you're looking at more of a cloud cover for you in that area. When you throw the radar over that, you can kind of see where everything has fallen and where it was last night. You can kind of see, you can almost draw the line there right on the southern portion of Tippecanoe County, on the speeds on that. Let me see if I can speed this up a little bit. There we go. Right there. You kind of see how it's right there along there. So you go out another hour or two, it probably extended all the way back over into central Illinois, and you can kind of see how it's got a slow push to the west to east, but then a sag to the south at the same time. So if we can continue with that sag, maybe we stay in the sun all day instead of getting back into those clouds that were back off to our east a little earlier. Or that would be to our west in Illinois, right? All right, so let's take a look at the numbers. What do the models say now? And what are we looking at? And I've told you that I think that there's potential that we won't see any more cold already. I've already told you that. So you know what I'm thinking, at least at this point, as we go through this kind of thing, right? So what I'm seeing right now is there's the system that just went through, right? Boom, moving off towards the east. It's just going to continue that direction, and not much happening for us other than we do have a northerly flow, which means we won't warm up a ton today, but it's all dependent on that sunshine. And then you can already see if we're in it, we're going to be pretty good. But then we're going to get a little reflux. And this is what we're going to start the trade off with is as we warm up in the next month, and we stay warm, if we do stay warm throughout the entire month of March, like it looks like it's going to be, you're going to trade off rain with that. And you're going to see periods of rain. So more often than not, at times it'll seem like. And then there'll be a couple days where it dries out, and then we'll get some more. But it looks like there's scattered light rain already moving into the picture here tomorrow. This is actually later today, very late tonight into the early morning hours tomorrow. But the temperatures are warm. So the temperatures are warm, and we're going to get rain out of this instead of the snow. The snow line is far to the north, but there you go. Just some light sprinkles, maybe some low foggish kind of feel and sprinkles in the morning, tomorrow morning, on the way to school. Fog is definitely a possibility tomorrow morning. I would say that's what that looks like more than anything else. And then in comes a band of rain from the south and moves along in and around us and gives us some scattered showers throughout the middle of the day and into the afternoon hours. and then it just kind of lingers. Now look that we're in the west to east portion of this. You can kind of see it there pretty easily. Very easy to pinpoint, and we're kind of stuck. Here's the low here, and then the warm front is kind of out and along there, and we're kind of stuck in the area where the precipitation is and where it wants to be. And then it's going to flow along that little chamber of a runway, so to speak. I like to call it sometimes like that. And then we stay rainy. It looks like tomorrow night into Wednesday, all the way out through Wednesday morning, we still stay in this. All right. We're in that band with that low pressure. These aren't big. This is not a big low pressure system. Obviously, we don't see a lot of rain with this. We don't see a line of thunderstorms, nothing like that with this low pressure system right here. Very weak, but enough that it has moisture with it and will bring annoyance rains for sure. It looks like, at least at this point. And how much rain could we see out of that? Let's see if we can see a total precipitation accumulation over that period. A tenth of an inch. That's not much. Yeah, but down to the south could be an inch, a little bit more progged in that area right now, south of us. Lafayette being right here for 12 hundredths of an inch. You can see around us maybe a quarter of an inch. So let's call it a tenth to a quarter for most of us. And just to our south, another inch to an inch and a half back out towards Missouri, where there's 2 inch areas. And to our south, much farther down towards Bloomington, 2.5 inches down there. Potential for some of the rain. So it is a little thicker down there. And for us, more of an annoyance rain. But you can see how long it was going to be in the picture for us, right? With that being in the picture for an extended period of time, a tenth of an inch isn't much. So that just means a drizzly, especially in the morning when it pops up and we saw that first indication of it. Let's go back to when that time frame was. So here we are. When do we start to pick up the fog overnight potential? Right in here, we start is where I see it. So that's like 1, 2 in the morning, which would be typical. That's when your temperatures are going to drop off, right? And you're going to get off down to a certain point. There's moisture still left over in the air, and we'll see where the fog is. You notice it kind of stops just to the north of Lafayette. Lafayette being right here. Matter of fact, let's zoom in a little bit. Oop. Let's see if I can get back one shot. Come on, back one without losing everything. I knew I would lose everything, guys. As soon as I did that. There we go. So now I got to go back and go through everything again. I don't want any of this. So let's go this route. Let's watch the weatherman spin. Right. All right, here we go. Let's go back to her. We're going to go back into the winter precipitation type, but I'm going to zoom in closer this time. All right. Accidentally hit that button just below it. That's how I got on live accidentally a little bit earlier ago. All right. So here we are. This is this morning. We see the snow already going off. Oh, showing 11Z, 13Z. All right, there it is, moving off towards the east. A couple little pockets of stuff here or there, but nothing in our picture. But then look at this right there, right in that time frame. That would be midnight. That's midnight tonight. All right. So midnight tonight, it shows like some moisture in the area. But look at where it kind of, let's see if it fends off and stops right in here. Maybe the local in closer view shows us. Okay, so and then it kind of just falls apart as it goes towards the north. It does get all the way up to the state line. But this right in here makes me think this is a pretty good solid fog bank that'll be right in there. And I'm going to go check the visibilities here just in a second just to see if we're going to see fog tomorrow morning. It definitely looks like it. And then the actual rain moves back into the picture by about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that this other stuff is a drizzly, foggy kind of look, right? This is more light rain shower, but very light. And remember, we didn't talk a whole ton of rain with that. But look at how the heavier rains are to our south. Lafayette being right about here. All right. So to our south, the heavier rains. And then we get a little bit more as it goes into the period. Late in the period, we get a little burst of some rain right at the end of that. So let's go back to that spot. Where was it? Right about there it is. That's the time frame. Now that's tomorrow morning. That would be like 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, right? So here we are in the potential for some fog. Let's go look at our visibilities. I got to find it. All right. Surface wind gusts, surface visibility. Yep. It does show a pocket of fog to our south and the potential for moisture in our area. Let's see if it stays there or moves around at all. And you can see it kind of moving at night. It's actually coming towards us, right? Look at that. And it draws a line just to our south. So still drizzly, sprinkly. This means maybe cloud cover off the deck, or this is cloud cover on the deck, which becomes more fog. Very low skies in here with your low cloud cover moving in during that period. And I'll bet we can get it with clouds too when we go back to the precipitation. We look at cloud cover. Look at, well, it's overcast through the whole period. Let's see how long it shows us staying in the sun today. It doesn't really much, does it? It has it there. And remember, we started to see this rotation back up this direction and around. And then it kind of keeps us in it for a while. We're still scattered. This is out till this afternoon. And then boom, we're back to overcast and we get the influx of moisture coming up from the south. And then we stay cloudy throughout the rest of the period. No let up. It'll be cloudy after later this afternoon. So increasing clouds this afternoon, at least on that front as it looks. Let's go back to the precipitation though, and what we were seeing there with that and that last gasp as it comes through. So what's it going to do for our temperatures? Well, temperature wise in the next couple days looks like this. And again, farther to the north, even though take a look at this right now, we see our temperatures here this morning. We're hovering around the freezing mark or just below it. And Lafayette's right here with Crawfordsville here, Rensselaer up to the north. You can kind of see those pretty easily there. They stand out. We see the warmth starting to come on. Look at that. Lafayette pops up to 42. We got a pocket of 50s. Why is that? Because the sun is going to come out over here, right? No sun, no sun in these areas. So no warmth or much less warmth. It's still going to warm up. So it shows us at what, 42? And this is, look at 47 is not far away. So 43, 44 on the north side of town, 40 on the south side of town to 42. All right. So let's go. Yeah. 40 to 42, south side of town going south, and 42 to 44 maybe on the north side of town up towards Monticello. I'm going to bump this a little bit for the temperatures. That's the way I can see it pretty easily. And it's all just dependent on the clouds and how much they'll hang over you and won't hang over you. So we see the temperatures drop overnight, right? But look at that. They just get down to about 36 in the local area. And that's because the cloud cover comes over. What does cloud cover do at night? It's a blanket, right? It holds whatever's there in the atmosphere near the ground. It holds it there. So if it's 36, it stays pretty close to 36 if you get this low-lying cloud bank over you. And that's what it looks like it's going to happen overnight tonight. And then it stays 37, 38, 39. We warm up a little bit during the day tomorrow. Even though we have cloud cover, we don't have much sun, right? So we're still just going to stay 41, 42. We don't have a lot of wind in here. That's the good news. I don't see much on that front. And then what about Wednesday morning? We're still back up. We're going to hold that temperature in the 30s. Cloud cover still in store, rain off and on, right? So tomorrow, as the rain increases chances during the day, it just kind of stays steady temperature wise, somewhere from about 38 to 42 for almost 24 hours straight. There is what you're going to see. Can we add some wind gusts in there? Let's take a look at it. Let's go back here. We see it's a little gusty this morning, definitely. And we were talking about wind chills being somewhere anywhere from 5 to about 15, depending on where you're at locally. Definitely chilly, bundle up this morning as you head out. And then they kind of stay that way to the teens overnight tonight. It starts to die down like it usually does overnight a little bit, and then it gets very calm tomorrow morning, and we're near dead calm. That's why you see this indication of the fog right here. You need just a knot or two or three usually for some really good thick fog to pop up, and that's why it showed this pocket right here. Where we're at 4 knots, it doesn't mean we won't see fog. It just means it may not be as bad as this pocket if this is where this actual pocket of dead calm winds are. That's where you're going to see that big pocket of the potential for some very quiet wind and fog to be very dense at times. So if you're heading to Indianapolis tomorrow morning on the way to work, watch out for the dense fog on that way. And then look at all day tomorrow. It's nearly dead calm. So that's going to be that gloomy, cloudy, foggy kind of look with some sprinkles here and there. And then later into the evening, we start to pick up our chances for some showers and the winds start to pick back up, but they're nothing major here. Now you're talking 10 to 12. These are your gusts, right? So that's 14 remember, that's like 16, 17 miles an hour. That's 14 knots. They work in knots in the weather field. All right, there we go. So that's the front and the localized what you're going to see in the next couple of days right here. So what does that mean for our extended forecast? Brian, you've been talking a lot about the forecast. Well, I'm Amish today, so I can see out into the future a little bit farther. Let's take a look at some of what we are going to encounter over the next month or so here, because we're going to go that far out into it. Let's see what the NAM shows. And I'm going to go to precipitation first and see if it kind of shows where it's looking for that foggy potential tomorrow morning too in here. It's got most of the run done so far. And we see precipitation popping up. Remember, it goes in 3-hour gaps. See if we can see those. So 6Z, this is around midnight. And sure enough, you start to see a little bit of a line almost kind of in here where there's a pocket where there could be some moisture. And there it is. There's just some potential. Now that I don't like. That could be some freezing rain or you just very probably drizzle more than anything else. But the temperature, it's going to be the temperature. The temperature doesn't show us getting cold enough to really get there, but there could be a pocket just to our north with Lafayette being right here, right? That's pretty close to us. So anywhere buddy going north tomorrow might run into that little pocket. Meanwhile, it shows a little more extensive rain with this by say 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and it kind of bounces along next to us and around us most of the day and starts to dry out by the week time we get into the evening hours. So it's showing more of a morning to afternoon event for us tomorrow with sprinkles in the early morning hours still there on the picture. And then it rebounds Wednesday morning and brings some more back in, right? There you go, and that's how far it is. That would be the warm front trying to fight back towards us, which will be warmer temperatures later in the picture. Right. All right. So let's go out to the European model and see what the European model is trying to show us here for precipitation. And here it is showing us where we are uh, right now. This is about where we are. The system's gone by, all right, and it's not nearly as detailed as the other ones. So you miss small things like fog that you can't pick up maybe. And all I picked up was a little bit of that light green, thinking that seems a little off right where it was, and that told me that there was potential for some fog for us tomorrow morning. So something to keep an eye on. But this model, because it's bigger, it's more broad, it doesn't pick up some of those things, but it picks up your bigger systems very well. Um, but it shows the rain coming in. There it is tomorrow afternoon. This is to be 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. So it's a morning event. There you go. Show some rain go by, right? And then look how it anchors just to our south, right where the other model showed the heaviest rains being, right? Just to our south during the afternoon tomorrow into the evening. And we kind of stay out of the mix. So let's go back and see how much rain it says we're going to get out of here. Total precip accumulation shows a 1/4 inch. There you go. So we've seen anything from 1200s to around a quarter on the other model. This one's showing a quarter, and everything around us is showing about a 1/4 of an inch of rain potential tomorrow during the day. Tomorrow, it looks like on that front. Let's go back to our precipitation. All right, let's see what it looks like as we go farther out. That's Wednesday, or so now we're going into Wednesday, right? And there's that influx coming back Wednesday evening, and we're just if you're on the south side of town, you may run into more of this than those of us on the north side of town. But it does kind of get over the top of us by Wednesday night, midnight. So that would be going into Thursday morning. All right. So here we are. There's a lot of precipitation on it in that time frame, and then it kind of dries out by Friday morning. So all day Wednesday night into Thursday morning. This is Thursday morning is kind of clearing in. So here it comes. We've already seen scattered rains on Tuesday, right? Now we're getting into Wednesday. Now we're pushing into Thursday morning. Here it is, Thursday morning. There's some more rain and a heavier rain amount on this point. Let's see what accumulations say at this point. Total precipitation accumulation. Now it's got us up near 2 inches for 3 or 4 days in a row there, right? So again, I call the European model the emergency model. It has a tendency to over grandiose everything. Doesn't mean it's not correct sometimes. It just means it does that. So that's something we have to keep in our own minds when we're watching this. All right. And then I'm going to pop out a little bit wider here so we can kind of see what's going on in the bigger picture. Let's go back a little bit. All right. So it shows the same type of pattern setting up, right? So here we are this morning, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Brian's talking about some rain coming in. There's maybe some of the fog in the morning tomorrow morning. Then here comes some rains. Lafayette is right here. All right. Lafayette here, Crawfordsville right about here. Rensselaer off to our northwest there. All right. There's the rain. That's Tuesday afternoon during the day tomorrow. Then it kind of quiets down overnight with a heavy rains to our south. And think about this. This band is only 100 miles wide and it's only 20 miles south of us. So, this if this sets up here, then we're in the thicker precipitation. But as of right now, all three models or both models we've looked at so far have shown us that the precipitation is going to be south of us at this point in the same spot. So I feel pretty good about that. All three. The NAM showed it there, the HER showed it there, and this has shown it there. Now we're getting farther out though now in our forecasts. Now here we are on Wednesday. It doesn't show too bad, but look at late in the day on Wednesday. Here comes bam, some more rain. Now it's setting up over us, right? And there we are into Thursday morning, raining. Most of the day on Thursday, starting to clear out into the afternoon, and then into the evening, we get out of the rain band for a little bit. All right. And then boom, here comes another front. You see the scenario here, right? With the warm temperatures and the warmer weather of March, we're going to bring in the precipitation totals. And this March, April, May is generally the wettest time of the year for us, right? And what we're going to see is plenty of this precipitation. So here we are on Friday. It looks like a quick little shot of a warm front. Maybe we get something out of that. Maybe we don't. I think you're definitely going to see a shower or two, and this could be a thunderstorm or two right here on Friday during the day. All right. That's late afternoon, it looks like, or yeah, we'll call it noon to 3. That's where I'm going to go with on that. But then it clears out, and what's happening here? Now we're getting into the warm air. Look at how the precipitation has now moved way up to the north. So Friday, I said it's going to be warm, right? We've been talking about this being Friday being so warm for since last week. I said something about it. So here we are, Friday, like at noon to 1 o'clock, and by 3 o'clock, that warm front is now to the north of us, and we are into the warm air. And here we are by 7 in the evening, and we are totally bringing in winds from the south. So the timing could be just off a little bit, where we may not quite get up to that 77 it was showing, depending on the rain. But very warm, very warm. And then the next front comes through Saturday morning. No more rain, right? And that gives us just a small reinforcing shot of cooler air, but we'll rebound out of that pretty quickly too. So that stops on Sunday. Now let's go back to the GFS. And what does the GFS show? The global model. Now this one goes all the way out into the middle of next month. And again, same thing, very broad. Here it is this morning, brings in some of this light rain. Does it keep it south of us mainly? There you go. It does. Then brings in a quick little shot tomorrow during the afternoon, like we've been talking about. But look at this, setting up the rain more over us, not south of us during the evening tomorrow night, like the other one did, kind of over us. And I want to see what the precipitation total it says there is. Total is already showing 1.5 inches by tomorrow evening into Wednesday morning. Okay, before the rest of the precipitation is set itself up. I'm going to go back into the winter mode here so I can see what I'm looking at. Very easy. There we go. So there it is. So the GFS has it just a little farther north. There's a variation on there. And we're in the precipitation band for a while there. And now I can go out and look at the total precipitation again. Total precipitation. There it is. And when I look at that, now we're looking at like 2.5 inches of rain out through Friday morning. Okay, out through Friday morning. So that's an extended period, remember, on that. So during that time frame. And then it shows, what's it going to show us for Friday, though, right? So Friday, boom, in come the thunderstorms. That is midday right there, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two goes through, and we're getting into the warm sector. Look at all these direction of this right here, coming from the southwest. That's where our warmest temperatures come from, either from the south or from the southwest. Occasionally, we get very warm weather from the west, due west also. But then when you shift it around to the northwest, it's almost always cold, right? So there it is setting up there. Now, Saturday, boom. This one doesn't look quite as bad for the system overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning, and then scattered rain still on Saturday some more. Now we're starting to go farther out into next week. This is Sunday, still shows a little bit of rain in the early morning hours on Sunday, then clearing out a little bit. It's going to be kind of gloomy with some cloud cover, I'm sure. And then we see more rain returns on Tuesday. So Monday's the only real big dry day for sure. In and out stuff all over the period, just as expected. There's a little reinforcing shot of cool Wednesday. Now we're looking at Wednesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, rain, 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 rain. Uh, then a reinforcing shot of cool, just enough to get us back down to probably normal temperatures or maybe a hair below normal next weekend or next week. And then it pushes back towards the north, and look at our flow comes back from the south to the north, but look what it's doing. It's pulling more moisture back in. So it seems like Thursday might be fairly dry, but a little cooler. And then Friday, here comes more rain. And then it starts to pop again, but we got warm temperatures and we're like, oh, it's so warm, Brian. Well, we can't get out and do much because it's raining. Another quick reinforcing shot, middle of the month, right there of the cool. That's the one they started screaming in the last couple days. Look how cold it's going to get. The world's coming to an end. That is not very cold temperatures. That it will be below normal. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be 30. Okay. You're going to have highs 30, 35 that day, probably when we go back and look at it. All right. And then so lots of rain is what we see on there. Now, what do we see temperature wise on the long range scale on this? Let's go back down, find our surface, hit the temperature. Let's pop back to where we are now. And when we take a look at this, we can see that the temperatures hover in the 30s to low 40s, right, for the next couple days. And you can see the warmth is not very far from us at all. This is Tuesday afternoon. The 50s are not far, right down near Terre Haute. Lafayette is the 42. That's what you're seeing right there. That's Lafayette. And it just shows 47 right around us and close and near us. So you can see the warmth is not very far away. And then as we get into Wednesday during the day, even though there may be rains, we're pushing all the way into the mid to upper 50s. Any spots of sunshine in there will get us all the way to 60. And there you are, 60 on Thursday afternoon. Thursday afternoon, 60 degrees, 63 not far away at all. So we've gotten into the warm sector. Overnight, Thursday night into Friday is only in the 50s, and then we're going to rebound. And then there's that shot. It's showing 67 here Friday, 67 with 70 just barely to our west. This is the day we've been shooting for 70. When I looked at the MSN screen that showed us our earlier temperature, it showed 77 next week, but 70 definitely Friday is going to be a possibility by the end of this week. All right, so there we go. And then we move on through Saturday. We're in the 60s and close to 70, 68 degrees, 69. There you go. And then we remember said there would be a couple little cold spurts. Drops down Sunday where we're only back into the 40s and 50s. Oh, bummer, 10 degrees above normal, huh? And then we're going to be back in the 60s by Monday and Tuesday, even close to 70 Monday afternoon. No reinforcing cold yet. More warmth on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then there we see a little shot Wednesday. That's that first little shot, right? There it is. Wednesday into Thursday next week. Drops off just a little bit, but you're talking, upper 20s for your lows and your highs still getting back into the 40s. And then Friday, we return back to some more of the warmth. And look at this nice big warm pattern out to our west. Very warm out there. That's going to press towards us for a couple of days. But I also start to notice some blue coming in from the north. And sure enough, right around the 15th or 16th, we get that probably last real cold shot. And look at the real cold. It's 35. That's not cold, but that is below normal for this time of the year in the middle of March, where our lows are probably 38, maybe 40 that time of the year. Still, there's a reinforcing shot there. Even a 27 one day there on the 16th in the morning. March, that'd be Monday, March 16th. So 2 weeks from today. And it's been showing that for a while, right? So what did it not show? It didn't show 0 like it did last week for a period there on next Wednesday. So, and then just nice weather temperature wise. So temperature wise, we're going to be above normal, generally speaking, for throughout this entire time frame, it looks like. And it does look like we're going to see a lot of precipitation in the forecast, unfortunately, for us too. That's something that you're just going to have to put up with. Well, and I can remember the days back, when you get the cows in and you bring the cows in and you get all the warmth that comes in. And Mary Lou, the cow, she did not want to come in. And then one of her udders, she just didn't want to get no milk out of her when it got really warm like that. So we had to put her out to pasture one day. I can't tell you how we did it. We can't say that on the internet. All right. Nothing like that coming from us, though, it looks like. Uh, well, it looks like just warm weather coming in for our forecast for us, and enjoying that kind of thing. All right, so I'm gonna pop out. It's 9:40. Man, I only got like 20 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit of Purdue real fast here. I'm going to pop out of the picture and come so you can see me, yeah, and then I can go look at some of my other stuff here. The Purdue game was the big deal last night, right? And it didn't come off well at all. They didn't play well. They didn't play terrible either, right? But Ohio State looked like it was the end of the world for them. It was their Super Bowl. They know they're playing for their chances to get into the tourney, and a win against Purdue would be one of those things. And that is exactly what happened last night. Percentage wise, point wise, how it went down was after the first 10 minutes was pretty much all Ohio State, and Purdue couldn't catch back up once they got down. All right. They lost their second straight game, falling to Ohio State 82-74. It was yesterday afternoon when it happened. The Boilermakers fell to 22-7. Most seasons you're like 22-7. That's great. But this season has been like this big hype machine. They were number one coming out of the season when it started. They went 17-1 to start, and they've gone 5-6 since then. 5-6. And now they've lost to four teams in the top 10 because Michigan State's going to move into the top 10 this week. All right. So they've lost to four teams in the top 10 already. That's a tough schedule. But then they've lost three, not the bad teams either. They don't have any bad losses, and their numbers are going to say they're good. Their KenPom numbers are going to say they're still in the top 10, probably eighth. But they'll probably drop from seventh to eighth, and that'll be it. Why? Because they're playing these hard teams. All right. They are getting this under their belts. They know what to expect when they're going to get into the big dance. Now that the Big Ten is over, the season's over, they're not going to win the Big Ten, right? They do need to get more than one bye, though, if they can do it at this point. Another loss or two, and that would be down. So they need to win these last two games. Ohio State has defeated Purdue 3 straight times now for the first time since the Buckeyes won 6 straight way back in 2012 to 2014. Wow. Purdue is now just 5-16 all time there at Value City Arena, which is where they're in Columbus, I think, in Ohio. Purdue was out rebounded 36-29, but at the beginning, I swear it was like 10-5 Purdue. So in reality, I feel like they got out rebounded 31-19 after that. So, and Purdue only had 10 free throws. Ohio State took 32 free throws. And Purdue was down there in the paint all the time. It just didn't seem like the calls. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody thought the refs were part of this game. But the 32 free throw attempts by Ohio State equal the most for an opponent since Rutgers shot 36 on January 28th, 2020. Everybody seemed to be in foul trouble the entire game for Purdue, it seemed like. Just seemed that way. The big men, definitely, for sure. And Purdue's bench just scored the time you need help, right? From your bench, and the bench has been solid. Don't get me wrong. They've been solid all season. But we needed them this game to come in with their 20. They scored 5, and they were only 2 for 10 from the field. So you come in, you go 5 for 10 from the field, you're right in the mix of this game. You never know what happens. And the 5 points were the Purdue's fewest off the bench since scoring 4 against Penn State way back in early January, and marked only the second time this season that Purdue was held under 10 points off the bench. So you can see not much happened from the guys coming off the bench today. And then, hey, long season, going to happen. Opponents have shot over 50% from the field in each of the last 4 games, and the KenPom numbers for the defense are going up. They were 19th. Matter of fact, I think they peaked at like 13th or 14th earlier back in maybe early January. And since then, they've been climbing, and they might have climbed out of the 20s into the 30s. And if that has happened, that takes them out of that mix of top 10 offense and top 30 defense to win the national championship, at least for now. I think there's going to be a rebound on the defense. If you can't come out and play defense like Ohio State did, which was just smother everybody, you're not going to win, right? You can still do that. You can still smother people without fouling. Now Purdue did great on the turnover rate. They're averaging just 6.6 turnovers per game over the last 5 contests, and they only had like 6 again yesterday. Purdue is shooting 53 of 128 from three-point range over the last 5 games, and they went like 0 for their first 8 in the second half. That was probably the moniker right there. They make 2 of those, just shoot 25%, and that's 6 points, and they're in the mix of it. Maybe Ohio State doesn't keep, but Ohio State kept thinking that we got this, we can win this, and they kept playing like they were. But the big 3 did great, I think. Braden Smith scored 20 points. He had 7 assists and 2 steals. He's now surpassing 1,800 career points in this contest. He needs 4 points to move into the top 10 on the Purdue career scoring list. And he's like the only guy ever in NCAA history to score 1,800 points, to have over 1,000 steals, and have, I think it's over 300 rebounds. I'm not sure what the number was on the rebounds. He's the only guy to ever do that. He's now at 1,011 assists, moving past LIU's Brooklyn's Jason Brickman into 4th place on the NCAA career assist leader. Fletch was fine. He was 5 of 9 from three-point range. He scored 15 points with 4 rebounds. It's the first time he's ever scored 4 threes or more, and they lost the game. Same thing with like I think it was TKR scoring 20 points and having 9 rebounds. It was the first time they had ever lost a game doing that. It's not like they didn't do a lot of good things in here, but they just didn't do enough, right? Lawyer now has 274 career three-pointers, needing 8 to pass Carson Edwards for the school's career three-pointers made record. And Purdue lost for the first time in Fletcher Lawyer's career when he makes 4 or more three-pointers. They're now 23-1 when that happens. Well, I keep saying Fletch has to shoot. He did. Great. It was perfect. He did exactly what we wanted to. I like to see him shoot 10 a game. That's what I'd like to see. So 5 of 9, you would think they would have won this game with Braden scoring 20. We haven't even talked about TKR. TKR scored 9, had 9 rebounds, 8 of 12 shooting, despite kind of bouncing around because he had foul problems, right? He's averaging 18 points and 9 rebounds over the last 5 games. So he's doing what he needs to do. He's trying to take the team on his back, it seems like. So the big 3 were there, but nobody else was. And that's not to say anything. CJ scored like 12 or 13 himself. So the other starter out of that. Now, I'm going to get into the numbers here in a second. Let's take a look at what Clough did on that. Clough was the one that kind of was like a no-show yesterday. Him and Daniel, they Ohio State just took over and just ran over and through them is what they did. I'm not sure if we're not getting a box score because it was at Ohio State or what. That may be a possibility why I'm not getting the actual box score. Let me see if I can find it for you guys real quick as we talk about this, because Clough disappeared. He was in foul trouble. He didn't get hardly anything for rebounds, it seemed like. And so there was a struggle there on that front with him. But when Daniel Jacobson came in, you think, well, maybe you'll get something a little different, and he did hardly nothing either. So it was rough. That was for sure. When we go back, and here we go, I'm getting some of the box score numbers here now. Looking at Purdue, Oscar had 2 points, he had 5 rebounds, and he played half the game. All right, so that wasn't, at least 2 of the rebounds were offensive. That's good. We did get 10 offensive rebounds. Nothing wrong with that anyway. But then his replacement comes in, only plays 4 minutes and gets no points and 1 rebound. And so then they had Jack Penner in there. They tried to go small for a while. He got 3 points. He only took 3 shots. We need him to take some more. He did get 3 rebounds and an assist. So Jack's still putting forth some. Jakari was in for a while. He got the other 2 points off the bench. He was 1 for 1 in his shooting in his 13 minutes. I'm going back to CJ. CJ scored 13. He was 5 of 9 shooting. Matter of fact, I look at the starters. They were 8 for 12. Clough was 1 for 3, the only one to shoot under 50%. CJ, 5 for 9. Braden, 7 for 19 shooting, 3 for 8 from three-pointers, so he was a little under. But Fletch was 5 of 10 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. So the starters were 11 for, 24 from the three-point range. That's 40%. Nothing wrong with that, or right at 40%. We'll take that all day and every day, right? But only 10 free throws. So they had a plus 15 on free throws, and we lost by 8. And in reality, the game didn't seem that close. They shot 51% from the field. They only shot 38% from 3, the same as us. We made 2 more. But when you're getting a plus 18 in free throws, plus 18. We only made 7, they made 25. Um, that's some damage right there. That is some damage. And they out rebounded us 36 to 29. So wow, it just didn't go well. It didn't end well. Um, but yeah, look at the starters. I think the starters played pretty good. We just didn't get any help. And how many times has that really happened, though? We only saw it one other time, right? That we were talking about that the bench has scored less than 10 points. Matter of fact, I was harping about how good the bench has been. I think for about 5, 6 games in a row, they were scoring 20 a game. One game, they even got up near 30, the bench did. So, um, that nothing wrong with it. It's gonna happen. It's part of the game. You gotta get used to that kind of thing. And if you're not, I don't know what to tell you. The season is definitely not over in any way, shape, or form. Yes, Purdue's gonna fall from 8th to like 13th. Okay. So what? Uh, 1, 2, 3 is fine. We would still prefer to fight your way back to a 2 spot. And Ken Palm says we are in a 2 spot. All right. I'm going to go look at Ken Palm right here, right now. Ken Palm says Purdue is number 8th in the country, and they're still 30.20 is their net rating. They're second in offense, but they dropped to 33rd in defense. But they've played the ninth toughest schedule in all of basketball. Okay. So that shows what we're talking about and a tough schedule against tough teams. How many other teams can say that they have as many wins in the uh, top tier as Purdue? Only a few others have been able to say that. So that's this 22-7 still looks a lot better, right? That's why you're not hearing. Look at Iowa State's 24-5, and we're tied with them technically net ratings, right? Because they're not as good on offense, but they're better on defense. But they have 2 less losses. You would think, well, that can't be. Well, this is going on how efficient each team is. It doesn't mean they win every single game as much. Look at this. Everybody and their brother right now is starting to hawk about how good Florida is. They only have 1 less loss than Purdue does. And look at this, they're up in the 4th spot. Okay. And the committee does look at this very distinctly. I would think Purdue was in the 3rd or 4th spot on the second line, has now probably moved to the 1st or 2nd spot on the 3 line, possibly. And then Michigan State may be moving up because they beat Purdue. That's a possibility with their rating being closer to Purdue than it's been all season. All right. So Purdue got up to around 31 or 32, and at one point they were the best in the country, but the numbers were different. But this numbers were like Duke is at 39 rating and Michigan's at 39 rating, almost unheard of. Those are like the highest Ken Palm's ever had. And then Arizona's at 37, and then you would think 33 or 34 is usually the leader. That's usually where it is. That's now 4th place. And the 30s you would think is a top 4, but that's now 8th place for Purdue. All right, just to give you an idea of just general ratings on the numbers on that kind of thing. So, oh man, rough game to watch last night. That's for sure. Plus, I tried to go live and couldn't get the screen to come up, and I couldn't get it in here anywhere live. So I finally just gave up. I'm sorry about that if you tried to watch. And hopefully we'll get that going again here pretty soon. I keep saying that, but I got so many other things. I'm not feeling good all the time, so I'm not getting to a lot of the things I say I'm going to get to. I keep putting it off. Procrastination partially, and partially just not feeling good at times too. So, but we'll keep working on that, see what we can come up with, at least on that front. The other thing I wanted to hit real quick before I go back to the weather to end the show here today is what's going on, obviously, with the war. We amazingly, and this stuff does happen all the time in war. Kuwait shot down 3 of our planes coming back. Now, luckily, all the guys got out, but those are $80 million aircraft they shot down. So, not all the pilots are good. They got out of the aircraft. They were able to do that, but you got to know who's coming and who's going in these things. And so Kuwait shot 3 of ours down. Now I don't know what that means. It's our missile batteries that were in Kuwait that did that, or if it was Kuwait's own people who did that accidentally and shot our guys down. But and we've now lost 4 guys in that. And that's from the bombings that have come from Iran towards our bases in the area. And also that this is going to take more than just a week, guys. Probably going to take closer to a month than anything else, as expected. This won't be Ukraine, no. You can see that happening already. We're not messing around. We're going in there and we're going to put us and Israel are taking it down, Iran down. And there's a lot of people who are upset that I think it was Israel actually did the first bombing and then took out Khamenei. But if you know the details of what he's done to his people for the last 47, 48 years now, you might be telling yourself it's a good thing we got rid of the guy. I don't like that either. I would prefer he just jumped on a plane and flew away and nobody had to bomb anyway, and he just let the people take over. But now we're doing all the bombings to help the people. Now the people can go and take over their own country by themselves. And then we'll just come in and help them get along to hopefully getting to progress and getting back to where uh, Persia slash Iran was before the Khomeini took over, when women had all the rights like they did here, where we could go visit and go to Tehran to see the place, right? No one's been able to get in there and see the place hardly ever since because of everything they do. So, and everything they have done, and how they proxied and killed Americans, and how they proxied and killed Israelis, and how they proxied and killed other people from all kinds of different nations with their war tactics that they've done from these other places. So, like Hezbollah and that kind of thing. So, uh, get ready. It's only been a couple days. It'll probably take closer to a month to mop up and get through everything. And then let's hope it doesn't go 2 months, right? And I also want the least amount of people killed in this. I know we always target infrastructure and things that don't harm people, but there are going to be some people that are caught in this. There'll be some people, like some kids, that are killed when we don't expect it. There'll be some people who were maybe protesting against the Khomeini and got in the crossfire somehow. There'll be some shoot downs accidentally of a plane that's ours, right? That and then friendly fire there. So um, that's the kind of thought process we'll be going through over the next month as we get through this time frame. Let's go back to one last thing here. We're going to go to I'm going to go back to the forecast real quick, and we'll see what the temperature is right now real quick here outside, let you guys know, and then we'll let you get out of here. It's up to freezing, 32 degrees. Still got a 9-mile-per-hour wind, so you got a wind chill around 25 right now. It's gotten a little better, so 20 to 25 on the wind chill. Bundle up just a little bit, getting up somewhere in the low 40s today, maybe close to that mark again tomorrow, but then look at the nice warm up as we go into next week. And by the end of this week, I think we may hit 70 on Friday. The 77 may be a little over the top. What's the unfortunate thing that you're seeing on this is you are seeing probably the potential that there is rain each and every day on here. And I know the chart's black now. Hopefully it'll pop up here any second. Come on, you can do it. Come on, internet. I'm trying to see if it's going to do that and that kind of thing. But those are the temperatures. It shows 43 today, 44 tomorrow. There we go. There we popped up. I knew it would come back. And 70 by later in the week, not to 77. That might be pushing it too much, but let's see what happens tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. I'll be on. I also have some doctor appointments in and out, so I might do some short shows, or I might do them a little earlier and put them out at 9 o'clock, and they will have been done earlier. Just depends on my schedule. I have 2 doctor's appointments, I think, that affect things this week, and I think I got to take one of the grandsons to the doctor too. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm still going to try to be on from 9 to 10 each morning. And it's been great talking with you guys. You guys have a great day. And don't you know, go out there and get them cows back in, don't you? Have some blessings for each and every one of your friends. We'll see you again tomorrow.